Hi, my name is Pallavi Laveti, and I'm the mother of Ayan, who is currently in K1 at Garodia International School. Garodia International has been around for quite some time, so my first point of reach was the mothers in the neighborhood to understand where their kids were going. So, one of the names which repeatedly kept coming up was Garodia International School. So, by and large, I think it was the word of mouth which was the starting point of our research for the school for our child. When it comes to an international school, one of the most important things is the pedagogy. Emphasis on not just what is taught, but how it is taught. Additionally, giving due importance to co-curricular activities because that in turn shapes the overall development of the child. That's important too. The infrastructure of the school because it should be able to support the first 2 points. And finally, I think giving a certain degree of personal attention to the kids, understanding how each child is different, their own strengths, their shortcomings, and working on them accordingly. I think that is the final part of what's important to an international school. So after having a word with some of the mothers, we shortlisted a set of schools that we were evaluating for Ayan. And we went one step ahead and we also spoke to some of the people we knew from the teaching fraternity. And they too vouched for Garodia International. So we were already a little bit biased as far as that goes. Then, of course, we visited the school, we saw the premises, we had a detailed chat with Priyanka ma'am about the teaching methodology, the value system, how they groom children, who are very young because we were putting Ayan in nursery school at that point. And we were absolutely convinced when we walked out, we knew that this was a school that we wanted to go with. So this is such a lovely age that there's constantly some or the other development that we see in our kids. So if I have to enumerate all of them, it's going to take a lot of time. So I'll just stick to the 3 most important visible transformations that we saw in Ayan. The first was that he was opening up. He was starting to be more comfortable in social situations. He was actually enjoying the company of his peers. He loved those play dates, which was a huge shift from the slightly shy, aloof kid that he was before. The second thing, and that is actually very interesting because it's a very recent development. When K1 started, obviously kids were just being taught to write, and at that point he did not like it, he did not know it. But 5 months down the line to today, where he not only does it really well, but he actually enjoys the process of writing. And that to me was incredible. Moving from not knowing a skill set to doing it well and liking it. So that to me was something which was evidential, you could see it. The third thing, and it's also actually very important, and that's to do with food. So kids typically are very finicky when it comes to food. They have very specific needs and palates. So from day one of nursery, where he would come home a little bit hungry and he would still have a meal at home, to today, when he comes home fully fed, full, finishing every single bite on his plate, I think that's phenomenal. And this is something that I've actually seen even outside of the school setting, because now when we travel, when we go to restaurants, he's very open to trying out new cuisines, new tastes, and that's actually made our lives very easy. It's really wonderful to see that shift in him. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. They are extremely warm, extremely affectionate. From the first day of nursery till today, every single day, the kids have been received with a big warm smile, open arms, and contagious enthusiasm. And the second thing is that they're extremely patient, not just with the kids, but also with us parents. Obviously, as new parents sending off kids for the first time to school, we are very anxious. And every other day we come up with questions. Has the kid eaten well? Is he doing well? And they have addressed these concerns with so much of patience and so much of kindness without dismissing them or belittling them. And that to me is very reassuring. Third, and the most important part, is their experience. And it really shows, not just in terms of addressing our queries, but also in terms of how they give us certain practical solutions of how we can work on our kids and their shortcomings at home. They've given us some very simple things to do, some simple exercises at home, so that we can actually take the learning process from school to home, and that is exceptional because a certain kind of consistency is maintained in their learning, which I think is extremely imperative as the child grows up. I can't think of an incident per se which left me pleasantly surprised. I'm sure there are many such events, but I would definitely like to highlight certain initiatives taken by the school which have had outcomes that have left us pleasantly surprised. One of them is the coffee meets. This is a session, a periodic session, which happens where the heads of the department sit down with the parents, and a lot of it gets discussed in the 1 to 2 hours that the session goes on for. They give us an insight into the entire process and the entire curriculum of the school. They tell us how the kids are being taught, they tell us what the kids are being taught, so we feel involved in the entire process. And most importantly, they tell us what we can do once we go back home so that a consistency is maintained where the kids are continuing to learn and grow even at home, and that is not restricted just to the premises of the school. So that to me is pretty spectacular, and that's also probably one of the reasons why I've seen certain changes in Ayan. And yeah, so that's that. So every single thing. When Ayan tells me about what he's done in school, he speaks with equal enthusiasm about every single activity which takes place. It could be reading, it could be math, it could be writing, language, worksheets, sports, music, every single thing. And I think, honestly, from the Finlandway app, when we see photographs of what the kids have been up to, my takeaway is that the school has somehow so beautifully weaved learning with activities and storytelling that they're enjoying the entire process. So I really cannot pinpoint and say there is this one activity that he really enjoys. His day is what he enjoys from start to end.